everybody. Welcome to Amazing You podcast and YouTube channels. And I want to say a big thank you to the audience for watching, sharing, and subscribing for the past 3 years. So this channel, it's where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads-on and emerge victorious. And our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there is a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So be prepared to be inspired and find the strength to navigate life's challenges. So this is Amazing You channel, where hope takes center stage. I am your host. My name is Dr. Rani Thanacoody. I am a clinical hypnotherapist using rapid transformational therapy method. I am an international inspirational speaker, author, Mars-Venus life and relationship coach, breathwork coach, astrologer, tarot reader, past life regression practitioner, and compassion practitioner. And today, I have the immense pleasure to introduce you to a very special lady who woke up at 5 a.m. to be here with you. Her name is Janelle Watson, that I met through Barbara Hayward. So I want to say a big thank you to Barbara for this introduction and connecting me to the beautiful Janelle. So Janelle is an intuitive business flow mentor who helps business owners become connected and fall in love with their business and find their flow to build the lifestyle they deserve. And together with her husband, they founded a company called Feather of Gold Limited, an elite soul academy. So very warm welcome, Janelle, to Amazing You.
Thank you, Rani. Thank you. And it's very exciting to actually be here this morning with you. So thank you.
You are very welcome. I really appreciate you doing that for the audience, taking your time, getting up early. I think it's not easy. I know I am not an early riser, so I understand. I understand, and I'm sure the audience, many of us are not early risers, and we understand the effort that Janelle has made for us all. So big thank you.
Welcome.
And I would like you, Janelle, if you can share briefly your story to us.
Okay, I've always been intuitive. I just wasn't sure what it was when I was younger. So even when I was a little person, I used to be able to tell when people were telling me the truth or not. I used to be able to tell that something had a good feeling or a bad feeling. And I grew up with that, knowing that. I was connected to hearing downloads and things from the other side.
Sorry, go on. And at what age did that start with you? Did you notice that?
About 7.
Okay.
And I was about 7. So when I was about 7 years old, I had a dream.
Right.
And it felt very real because I woke up holding my breath. And I felt like in the dream that I was drowning. And I woke up actually holding my breath, really holding my breath. And I got quite a fright from that. In the dream, I remembered somebody glowing white coming down and rescuing me from drowning. And it wasn't until I was older that I realized it was a past life memory.
Okay.
So then from that point onwards, things started to activate. I could actually sense people's energy. But again, when you're a small child, you don't really understand that all the time. I wasn't in a situation where the rest of my family was like that.
Yes.
So I found that it was a little confusing at first.
And how?
And sorry?
I'm sorry. And when did you ever tell your family about it? How did they take that?
I remember when I was younger, I actually saw some white energy.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was. It gave me a bit of a fright because I'd woken up and I'd seen this on my wall. And I went right bolting out to my mum. And mum said, "Oh, yes, darling." And little horsies, ghosty horsies are flying through as well. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s when I mentioned to mum that she had said that to me, that she said, "Oh, I was just trying to stop you from being frightened." But to me at the time, it was like she was mocking me.
Yeah.
So I shut down talking to the family about that from, I think, that point onwards. It wasn't really something we ever discussed. When I got to be in my 20s, I stepped away from that.
Okay.
A little, although I was still using my intuition. I was still making decisions based on how I felt inside, on gut feelings. I was always the one that people would turn to and ask questions, and I could never understand why people would come and tell me their entire life story. When I was in my 20s, I got a job as a computer trainer. I literally walked into the job. I'd fallen in love with computers and the way they work and all of that. And so I went to a training agency, an international training agency, and I said, "I'd like to do a course in a database, learning about database." And by the end of the chat, they said to me, "Have you ever thought about being a trainer?" And I said, "No idea what a trainer does."
Okay.
And they said, "With your knowledge and your skills, we could, do this." By the next day, I was already starting with them as a trainer. Wow. And it just fell into that spot. I enjoyed it because I could answer people's questions before they actually asked them. I could intuitively know when a group needed a particular thing or it didn't need a particular thing, or I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it was teaching others to be both productive and, expanding their knowledge base. And to me, that was important.
Yeah. And I would like to go back a little bit earlier when you were talking about intuition, when you started to listen to your intuition. What can you tell the audience to help them to tap into their intuition? Because, nowadays we live in a world where we don't listen to our intuition. We are so distracted by everything around us that we ignore that intuition. So how can the audience start to tap into their own intuition?
Intuition is always there. The big thing is with your intuition, it's two factors. One is to be in the present moment. So rather than constantly thinking about what you've done in the past or what's about to happen in the future, sit in the present moment as much as you can and enjoy that. But also trust that anything that you feel is, for some people, in their gut feeling, so they'll feel it in their bodies, in their tummy region, or if some people will actually hear in their head, they will actually hear the sounds. And often it sounds like your own voice, intuitive leading. It takes a little while to trust that, but the big thing is to trust it. One of the things I help my clients to do is to keep something called an intuition journal. So what this is constantly be aware that you are listening to your intuition and write down a journal you can do that at the end of the day. Some people take a little notepad with them in their bag or, leave it in the car. And when you listen to your intuition, make a note of what the intuitive message was or what the intuitive insight was. whether or not you listened to that and followed your intuition and what the result was.
Okay.
And you'll find over a period of about 3 weeks, and we find 3 weeks is a good time frame.
Yes.
That if you read back through that, you'll get to see that following your intuition is a little bit easier each time. But it's a good way to keep track of your intuition because A, you're becoming more conscious of it, and B, you are actually recording it down and saying, I listened to my intuition today. I had a prompt to turn right on my journey today in the car.
Right.
I followed that.
Mm-hmm.
I got to work 5 minutes faster. Little things that would actually happen. And then after a while, you'll find you'll read back through that intuition journal and it will start to make sense.
Yeah.
Also, whether you got an intuitive prompt, I walked into a business meeting, I was intuitively, I knew this was going to go badly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't listen to my intuition and this is the result. But if you write these things down, you'll find that you can come back to them and read back through them. And after a while, you'll find that you start to trust your intuition more because you'll see that your intuition is guiding you to actually have a better result. Does that make sense?
It does make sense to me, yes. Thank you so much. Just to clarify things for the audience, because I have had people telling me, I don't know what is my intuition because I hear voices, negative voices. So can you explain how can people differentiate when they hear negative voices and how can they recognize whether it's their intuition or not speaking to them?
Okay. Your intuition will never tell you anything negative. Never. It will always lead you to your highest and greatest good. So it will only be positivity. It will only be helpful. It will only be friendly. And if you are actually feeling it, with your intuition, you will feel it and sense it rather than it just being voices in your head. You will also sense it in your body. Okay. So you will know. There'll be a clear knowing. If you're actually hearing your mind telling you things, that's often your ego or your mind telling you things, negativity. So you just ignore that as best you can. But with intuition, definitely, it will never be negative. Never, ever.
I think that's
the only thing I find, you will sometimes find it will say to you, stop doing something. And of course, that will be to help you. Perhaps you're going somewhere and it's like, stop, turn here. And then you'll turn here. And that will be because perhaps there was going to be something happen further on, and it will help you. But it's always to help you, always 100% to help you.
Thank you.
It's actually coming from the universe, which has your highest and greatest good, full of love.
That's so beautiful, when we start to listen to our intuition. And thank you for explaining that, because it took me a really long time to start to listen to my intuition. Because, when we have a lot of trauma, we are so disconnected with ourselves, our inner voice. But as we peel those layers, we start to heal, we can hear that voice inside of us, that compass inside of us. So I would really, really recommend the audience, and I will do that as well, write down what my intuition guided me today. Keep a diary, keep a notebook. Yeah, I think that's a great tool. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people keep a gratitude journal, which is another way to keep positivity in your life, right?
Yes.
So an intuition journal is a similar thing. You can do that every day or you can keep it with you. I often say to people when you first start, keep it with you if you possibly can, so that, if you're traveling somewhere, you get an intuitive insight and you think, okay, that feels like intuition. When you've done it and then listen to the intuition, write it down so that you don't forget. And in the beginning, the first few weeks, you can actually do that. And then after a while, you can do that at the end of the day because, okay, I did this. I listened to my intuition. I made that decision. I made this decision that felt like intuitive. If you find that you're not sure, check in and see, is it something that is going to be helpful?
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful. And I'm diverting a bit And I am curious to know what made
Yes.
you leave your career, your job that you love in the corporate world, to start your own business with your husband, Janelle.
Okay, well, I've been in business on and off most of my life. I registered my first business name when I was 19.
Okay.
Again, listening to my intuition, I was doing pathology at university, and I decided that wasn't where I wanted to go. I wanted to deal with people more rather than sitting in a laboratory. So I studied scientific beauty therapy, and I liked that because I was learning about the actual products, learning how to use them. I was learning to do massage. So I did aromatherapy massage with the oils, the essential oils. And this is part of coming into me. This is part of learning about who I am as well. So I did that. And I had a little business for a while doing that. And then after I'd been working in the training industry, I ended up creating a company for contract training and contract trainers. In fact, I even had my mum as one of my employees as a contract trainer. So I've been in and out of business a lot for a long time. When my husband and I decided to put the company together, we thought, okay, this is, the best way to go about it is to create a company. So, of course, using my intuition, I asked the universe and said, what are we going to call it? And I got a message that said, wait for a week.
Okay.
So we waited for a week. And over that week, I found 40 feathers, which is a lot of feathers to find on the ground and around the place.
What color were the feathers, if I may ask?
Lots of different colors, mostly white and black because of the birds that were around us, but lots of different colors. I actually found a blue one, and I found a crimson one, and I found lots of different colors. So 40 feathers. Then I was guided 3 days in a row to go and sit and watch the sunset. Now, where we were living, our property at the time was on top of a hill. So we were actually facing east-west. So I would go and sit and watch the sunset from the front veranda. And the sunsets were gold. They were beautiful gold in, every single sunset, three days in a row. So I woke up the next morning, the 4th morning, and I said to my husband, it needs to be something about feathers and about gold.
Okay.
And he said, what about gold and feathers? And I said, didn't feel right. I sat for a moment with that and said no. And then suddenly in my head, I heard feather of gold.
Okay.
And that's where that company name came from.
And it's a beautiful name. It's a very original, very beautiful name. Yeah.
There's a couple of layers to the name as well, because it's also a tip to the golden energy of the angelic realm, which is what I work with. And it is also feathers being what we used to write with. So because we do a lot of teaching and working, so there's the quill in the feather. So as part of the logo, we actually had a feather created because that for that particular thing to teach for writing and teaching. And also with the name, the feather of gold, the entire thing is based around golden energy. And golden energy is what a lot of people tend to, when they first start working with their intuition, is what they first start to feel and see when it becomes quite strong. So there was like 3 layers of that, which was nice as well.
Wow. Thank you for explaining how you came to that name for your company, those 2 names. Yeah. And I want to ask you, because we are talking of it's a very interesting conversation with you. So rare to have someone, first time I'm having somebody on the podcast who is talking about that. So that's really, really great for the audience to further their knowledge. And yes, and I have been myself listening to channelers. What is the difference between channeling and intuition?
Okay. Channeling is literally when you allow another entity
Okay.
to use your body, to speak. So they channel in downloads in chunks. I do automatic writing. I channel source.
Okay.
I also do automatic writing where I can actually pick up a pen and I allow an entity to use my hand to write.
Right.
It is a big trust thing, and it is not something that should be taken lightly. It's not just something that just anybody can do. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot of protection of your energy around that way to make sure that you know and you trust what is actually going on. Intuition is actually messaging, like you can think of it like downloads.
Okay.
So it's actually, they're just sending a message, a little bit more like receiving as a TV. So if you've got a television, you know that you've got you tune into a channel and you hear that. Well, that's a little bit more what intuition is like. So sometimes it might feel a little bit staticky, or it's not right into the channel and tuned in like a radio station, perhaps even. You turn on a radio station, sometimes you get that static, and that can happen with your intuition at first as well. Okay. Channeling is literally when the entity or beings literally speak through you.
Okay.
So one is messages to you and one is actually using you as a conduit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, because it can be for the audience who do not know. I think it's good that you explain that. So I think it's very clear. Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay.
And I have seen that you've got a very beautiful quote that says, "Power up so you can power on." Can you tell us a bit more about how you came up with that quote, and if you can explain a little bit about that?
Okay. Everything is energy. So everything is energy. And energy, of course, without energy, we have different frequencies.
Yeah.
And frequency is a lot of the time about different power levels. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what it is, power up, is there's a number of, again, layers. I like things with actual layers with lots of depth so that there's not just a surface feature. So power up is all about raising your vibration.
Okay.
It is also about energizing.
Mm-hmm.
So powering up is also about connecting. So in our company, in our business, in our Elite Soul Academy as well, where we teach and help people, is that we talk about threes, everything happening in threes.
Okay.
And we have something called the 3 C's, which is connection, calibration, and clarification. So with each of those, we actually powering up is getting that connection going. So connecting to yourself, to your inner soul, connecting to the universal energy, connecting to other people's energy so that you can feel that and you can sense the energy. And power up so that you can power on simply means that you are raising your vibrational energy so that you are connecting to the universe, remembering that you are a beautiful soul, and you can power on and keep going through the day.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful quote, and it's really great that you've explained about the vibration, because that is so true. It's about when we raise our vibration, we can have even better connection with source, with ourselves, with others.
Yes.
And it's so important even in our daily life to take actions, in our business, in our relationships. Mm-hmm. We don't go for toxic people. We can easily discern, and make that right choice of which way to turn. I think that's so important in life. Yeah. Because
we are just saying, yes. Sorry, I was just going to say, with your vibrational energy, one of the reasons we talk about it this way, about raising your vibrational energy, is that everything vibrates at a certain frequency, as we've said. So the higher that you actually vibrate, and because, everything's made up of atoms, right? We're made up of atoms and water, and we vibrate at a certain frequency. So the higher we raise, the happier we are, the lighter we'll feel. Yeah. The happier, the more joyful we will feel. And so what you'll find is that as you're raising your vibrational energy, you're attracting the same type of person to you. And it works a little bit like, I don't know if you've ever siphoned water from one place to another through a hose outside. When you're siphoning water, it starts with a trickle, and then it starts to, and then you get the full-on surge of the water. And that's what it's like. It's attraction, because the water attracts more water, right, as it's flowing. And that's what it's like for us. As we raise our vibrational frequency, as we actually feel happier and lighter and choose positive thoughts and choose to actually take a positive attitude and to step back and become the observer of any thoughts that are not positive or happy. And we think, okay, that's not a thought that pleases me.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me happy. It's not for my best, my highest and greatest good. I will watch that. What does it do? We can let that go.
Yeah.
And then as you're doing that, you're bringing more people in who are like you.
Yes. And it's so important, to raise our vibration, because if we stay in that low vibration of fear, we will be stuck in our lives. We won't be able to do anything. But as we raise our vibration to the love frequency, which is the highest vibration, everything starts to flow in the life. We don't struggle and fight for things. It's smooth and it's easy. Yeah.
The other thing about vibration is love is a high vibration, and so is authenticity.
Yes.
And being authentically you means that you don't have to hide.
That's so true. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh my God. It's so wonderful talking to you, Janelle.
It's lovely talking to you. I love this.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And can you share with us what book or books that have impacted your life? And can you explain why to us?
Okay, there's been a couple actually, and a lot of it because I am also a guide and a teacher as well as a mentor. So when I actually, through most of my life, I've been doing teaching, guiding, mentoring. A lot of it has to come down to the fact that we actually are also working with our human brains.
Yeah.
So, and our mind tends to be an interesting phenomenon. I often say to people, your mind can actually be have quite interesting things that happen. One of the things that I found, a book I really enjoyed, was Change Your Thinking by Sarah Edelman. Okay. And with that, it was a matter of helping to choose your thoughts, actually helping positive, choosing to step back, choosing to look at what you need to do, how you work with your mind, because your mind is very powerful. And if we can learn to set it aside and listen to our inner feelings, you'll find that your mind is actually not as much of a control factor as we actually think. And when we find ourselves in trauma or in a response, our somatic response is our body response, of course, the cortisol kicks in and everything, stress happens. All of that affects the way your brain thinks. Okay. So the other book that I found was quite interesting is The Brain That Changes Itself. And that's by Norman Deutsch. And it's all about neuroplasticity, how your brain can rewire itself, how you can actually, rethink with that. I loved both those two books. And in fact, I bought my son The Brain That Changes Itself as well, my youngest. He fell in love with it when he actually read it. It's like, wow, this is amazing. There's one other book which is called Positive Habits, and it's 21 words that transform your daily life. Now, this was actually written by a friend of mine, Veronica Sanchez, and it is great. It is really simple. It has a great way of being able to take your words and change the association with them. So make things into positivity from something that might be just a simple sentence. And a way about flipping your words around. It teaches you to flip your words around because words are powerful.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Words have energy. Thoughts have energy. Feelings have energy. Everything is energy. So if you simply change, take your words and remember that you've got power and energy in those words, then it becomes a positive habit.
Yeah. And
so those three books are Changing Your Thinking, The Brain That Changes Itself, and Positive Habits. And they're probably my three go-to books.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think it's so important to understand how we can reprogram our mind, because our mind has been reprogrammed not in a positive way at all when we were children, you know. It's the conditioning of the environment, the school, the family, everybody putting things in our mind which is not ours.
That's right.
So it's now our responsibility to reprogram our mind to create the life that we want, and to start by changing how we think, and think positive and think empowering words that uplift ourselves.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And learning to put yourself first is a very difficult thing for most adults, simply because of the negativity that society has embedded in us.
Yes. That's so true. Yeah. And we tend to become people pleaser, or we play different roles in order to fit in. And that's not really us. And then later, when we start to do the inner work, that's when we realize we were never really ourselves. We were living the life of other people, but never our own life. Yeah.
No, and it puts up, as I said before, one of the big things I found helpful for people is to learn to step back and become the observer.
Yes. Yeah.
And can I just give your viewers, listeners, a hint? Something that works really powerfully for me is that when I decide that I'm going to allow the universe to help me on something, because I say, you know, a lot of people ask, they say, can you help me with things? To allow that, I say that, you know, I'm allowing the universe to, whatever it is, help me with this. And then I literally physically take a step to the left. Now, what that does to me is I can then visualize the universe going, yes, let's bring it through. So instead of me blocking that and feeling like it's coming towards me this way, if I take a step to the left, and I do it to the left simply because I'm actually right-handed. So for me, taking a step to the left is something I consciously choose to do. So I take a step to the left, and then I visualize what I've just asked for coming through.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful technique that we can use. Thank you so much, Janelle.
That's okay. Welcome.
And for individuals today who are listening and watching you, and who are facing some tough times, because a lot of people today, I tell you, are going through some really challenging times. What advice or steps can you offer them to navigate and eventually overcome the adversity?
Well, one of the things I've found is to actually try not to stress too much about what has happened in the past or what will happen in the future. Being in the present moment. Now, a lot of people speak about mindfulness, but you can't practice mindfulness without being in the present moment. So being in the present moment, accepting that you're here now, regardless of whether not beating yourself up about choices you have made or what choices you will make, accepting that you are here. You don't necessarily have to like it, but the fact that you are here right now, and then being in the present moment will help you to look around and see, what tools do I have to leave or to make changes? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. It does make sense, because it's only... Yeah, go on, Janelle, go on.
I was just going to say, everything we learn helps us to grow as a soul.
Yes.
So remembering that experiences that have brought us to where we are now can actually help us on a soul level. Sometimes it's difficult to see that at the time, but even if we afterwards look at that and say, okay, let's take that as a learning, and we don't need to make those decisions again.
Yeah.
And we're loved by the universe.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I hope they're helpful.
That is all. That has been so helpful. Everything you've been saying today is extremely helpful, very relevant, very powerful, and I think it's important to have those kind of conversations, because we don't talk enough about the power of our intuition. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And my last question to you: would you please share with us, what are the projects or initiatives that you are currently working on, and how can people stay updated or get in touch with you, Janelle?
Okay. I currently have, because I'm working with, tend to work with business owners because of my experience, and I enjoy the bringing intuition into business because I think it makes it powerful. So I have two things that I do. I have a one-to-one holistic business growth experience, so that I have clients who work with me on a one-to-one basis. And what we do is we work with their intuition, we work with their business, and we get them to the stage where, so it's holistic. We actually work with them with every aspect of their business, of themselves, so that they're actually in a business that is in growth and profitability and cash flow and gives them the life they deserve and gives them their life back. I also have Your Power Within, which is a program where people can join, and it's what I refer to as a hybrid program. So it's group, but they also get option to have one-to-one time with me as well during the actual week, each week. So that's called Your Power Within, and it's the same concept. It's just in a group program.
Okay.
So that's my big thing. My husband and I actually run something called the Soul Adventurers.
Okay.
And the Soul Adventurers is a program for people who are starting to learn about their intuition, stepping into, things can get a little bit confusing. Yes. And rather than trying to understand about listening to this particular podcast or this particular, YouTube channel, or walk into a crystal shop or wherever, yes. They come to us, we give them a solid foundation of knowledge, beginning with we're all made up of atoms, and atoms vibrate at a certain frequency. And we talk about that, protecting their energy, all of that. So we do that as well. So it's called the Soul Adventurers. So I have a website, which is elitesoulacademy.com.
Okay.
I have, my Facebook is Janelle G. Watson. And they can contact me in either of those. And we also have a YouTube channel, Elite Soul TV with Janelle G.
That's amazing what you've got. And any final thoughts or messages, Janelle, that you would like to share with the audience today?
You are a powerful soul. The universe loves you. Just keep remembering that you need to love yourself the way the universe loves you. And don't give up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Janelle. It's been really a great pleasure to have this conversation with you, and I really hope the audience as well, they get so much that they can put into practice in their daily lives so that they can live a much happier, a much joyful, and a much more abundant life, because everything is in our hands. So it is how we use those tools that we've been given. So thank you, Janelle, and I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. Really excited about the great things that you are doing to help the community, and keep shining brightly your light. And I would like to say big thank you to the audience for watching, sharing, listening, and subscribing. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.